racing yachts established the Transpacific Yacht Classic by racing from San Pedro Light to Diamond Head Light, 2,225 miles. Since then, there have been 16 renewals of the biennial race. 7 men sailed Gossip in the 1951 running of the Classic. This is the record of that trip, an album of memories. For Barney Jensen, assistant navigator. Charlie Ross, first mate. Bill Kettenburg, helmsman. Joe Kleghorn, chief cook. Charlie Benton, helmsman. For Jack Helsel, navigator par excellence. And for Phil Smith, owner and skipper. Particularly, this is the story of Gossip, the 46-foot sloop that carried those 7 across more than 2,200 miles of rolling seas in one of the most dramatic adventures of their lives. Home moorage of Gossip is the Seattle Yacht Club, located on Portage Bay between Lake Washington and Lake Union. 5 miles to the west, through the waterway and the government locks, is Puget Sound. During the spring and early summer, Gossip is carefully readied for the Transpacific race. The mast is taken out, stays and turnbuckles minutely checked. Extra halyards and blocks are installed, and the mast is replaced. When that important job is successfully completed, every piece of standing rigging is covered with plastic to protect the sails from chafing. Always a major problem during the long, grueling Transpacific race. Finally, after many another hour of inspection and planning, Gossip is ready for the trip down the coast to San Diego, where she's to get the finishing touches. Early one morning in June, she pulls away and heads out into the waterway, which leads to Puget Sound. Gossip is off on the first leg of that unforgettable voyage. After an uneventful trip down the coast to San Diego, Gossip ties up at the Kettenburg Boat Works, where she and her sister PCCs were built. She's hauled out on dry dock, for there is much yet to be done before Gossip is ready for the race. 46 feet long with a 9 1/2 foot beam, Gossip weighs only 9 net tons. She's to compete with her sister PCC, Kitten, overall winner of the 1949 race. To help assure every ounce of speed, the bottom gets 3 coats of mirror-like paint. Bill's Bottom Paint by name, which incidentally costs more than the finest imported Scotch whiskey. Gossip's hull is given a bright new coat, an important detail in grooming the boat for maximum speed. The race to Honolulu mostly involves close and broad reaching and running downwind. So the size of the fore triangle is increased to permit use of a larger spinnaker. The forestays are moved to the new bow fitting, and the rating of Gossip goes up from 36.7 to 37.3. Kettenburg craftsmen attend to many minute details, and Gossip's crewmen also keep busy. Cook Joe Kleghorn treats the boat's canned stores by applying anti-rust paint to prevent salt air and seawater from ruining Gossip's provisions. At Ken Watt's sail loft, a last check of the sails and data from Dick Brownell, Morning Star weatherman, concerning weather reports at sea. A canvas ventilator is rigged over the forward hatch to make life below decks more livable. Then Gossip goes back in the water, trim and ready. From the Kettenburg yard, Gossip moves to the San Diego Yacht Club, where several racing yachts are moored. Walter Trepte's Evening Star. She'll give a good account of herself in the Honolulu race. The San Diego Yacht Club offers racing crews a day or 2 of welcome relaxation. The same is true of the Newport Harbor Yacht Club. Here, Gossip's ready sailors take it easy and complete a few final chores, such as taping turnbuckles and cotter pins, and attaching tennis balls to long bamboo poles to prevent a collapsing spinnaker from sliding under the bow. Tom Short's Tasco is moored with Fulmore's Staghound. Out in the harbor is Harry Grandin's 60-foot catch Dragoon, heavily festooned with baggy wrinkle, and to all intents and purposes, ready and able to sail a stout race to Diamond Head. The Transpacific Yacht Club's inspectors make sure every competing boat is fit in every detail. Inspectors Walter Franz and Ad Gurley visit every yacht to check safety measures and seaworthiness. It's a complex check sheet to be satisfied before a yacht is declared fit. Nothing is left to guesswork in the Transpacific race. The long grind demands the best of every competing boat. It's a yachting classic with a tradition of sailing and seamanship perfection. The day before the July 4th start at San Pedro, Gossip is moored with the Revenge, also out of Seattle. Navigator Jack Helsel does some last-minute batten pocket reinforcing. The radio is checked, for it's a wide sea and the boat should have a voice, come what may. The day before the race, the same attitude of tense expectancy dominates every racing yacht in the Los Angeles harbor. The morning of the race is overcast and dull. The sky suggests doubtful sailing weather. But Gossip's crew, like many another from distant points, learns it's only smog. Aboard, the crew is busy stowing gear, checking lines, and stopping the spinnaker. There's plenty to do, especially for sailors who are eager to get underway. The official board shows 27 entries, 6 Class A, 12 Class B, and 10 in Class C. Hoping that some boat will come up short a sailor, a picket patrols the dock, eager to contribute brawn and know-how. But he's out of luck. It's mid-morning now, and back from the racing boats at anchor come visitors, relatives, and sailors themselves for some last errand. Tom Short, for instance, in for a last quick phone call. Gossip's skipper hurries down the gangplank with the latest weather map. The boats will be getting underway to the starting line soon. This is almost it. In a matter of less than an hour or so, she's up for grab. On board Gossip, the skipper and navigator huddle over the latest weather map and discuss course strategy. Safest, but also possibly the slowest course is south and west. Another choice lies slightly north and west into the prevailing trade. It's decided that Gossip will sail a course just south of the Great Circle route. With only minutes to go, the last piece of ice is put aboard. Kenny Watts comes by with the last sail. The line is cast off from the mooring buoy, and Gossip moves toward the outer harbor. Golden Bird from Japan is ready for the long race. Solveig from New South Wales, Australia, looks able to give a good account of herself. The 72-foot sloop La Pache moves slowly out toward the starting line, little knowing what's in store for her. Gossip's main goes up, and her crew is another step nearer the big moment. On deck, the crew pretends to take Dramamine. Is it a rehearsal? Ahoy and look sharp. Man the bilge pumps. This Transpac is anybody's race. Dick Ream's 98-foot schooner, Morning Star, is trying to get her mainsail up. Holder of the Transpacific record, she is scratch boat and is to be communications center for the fleet during the race. Sea Witch, the 36-foot ketch which nearly won the 1949 race, is just as fast this time, a fact which those who don't realize it will soon learn. As Gossip moves near Boo Pascal's Revenge out of Seattle, her crew waves a hearty but not too sincere good luck. A 40-foot cutter, Revenge is manned by an exceptionally experienced crew, and with her low rating, the sleek racer can always be depended upon to give an excellent account of herself. Gossip's crew is not odd. Kitten, the 49 winner, is sister ship to Gossip. Will she repeat? Gossip slides by the Gracie S. As Ed Kennel hurries over to the rail to wave a greeting from the 97-foot schooner. The yawl Fairweather, an experienced racer, looks powerful as she glides by. Java Head is an able competitor with a fine record in the 1949 race. Jada from the Coronado Yacht Club has a reputation for lots of speed. Coaster from Honolulu is eager to get home. Looking competent, Cherokee, trim catch from Panama, slides by on her way to the line. Sister ship of Golden Bird, the 44-foot yawl Electra, gets underway in a determined manner. The crew of Staghound is happy as starting time for the race nears. Eventide is rated a strong contender. Odds-on favorite is Skylark, flagship of Commodore Ayers of the Transpacific Yacht Club. The starting boat is in position, and the yachts are moving up to the starting line. Kitten, up too early, must turn around and make another run. Most of the yachts favor the windward end of the line. A gun signals the official start of the race. Gossip and Fairweather are on the line. Seconds saved here may mean the race. For better or worse, the 17th Transpacific Yacht Race is on. With clear wind, Gossip works out a nice lead and is in front of the fleet on the way to the jetty. Her crew hopes the significant start will establish a trend. Past the jetty, Bob Allen and his guests are on hand to say goodbye. Some boats swing to port and head for the eastern tip of Catalina. Gossip heads for Point Furman and from there to the western end of Catalina. Packing up the shore, Gossip is closely followed by Evening Star, Lapache, and Kitten. Revenge and Solveig are close as Coaster and Gracie S. head for the eastern tip of Catalina. As she nears the point, Gossip is moving well. When that landmark is reached, Kitten comes about and prepares to head west toward Catalina. Competition continues keen as Gossip covers Kitten. The PCCs, almost in tandem, swing wide to the west. Her size and great spread of sail not to be denied, Evening Star comes up on Gossip, and the Gossip crosses Evening Star's bow. Although the airs are still light, Gossip is making good time. Near the western tip of Catalina, Lapache is a few hundred yards ahead of Gossip. Morning Star bears down on Gossip from behind, and displaying every bit of the stately beauty for which the big yacht is famous, she comes sweeping on by, her canvas pattern sharply silhouetted against the late afternoon sun. Morning Star pulls away, apparently determined to better her record. Evening Star slips by to weather as she heads west. Gossip begins to round the corner. The westerly begins to make up as the tip of the island is rounded. The skill with which every weather break is used to advantage or wasted, and the deportment of the boat herself spell win or lose in a race like this. Gossip's crew are all experienced sailors, but only one has ever sailed the Transpacific before. But there's no time to think about that. The westerly has filled in. The Genoa is replaced with a working jib, and the Dramamine is broken out. The crew stores gear and gets set for a rough night. The chips are down now for these 7 sailors and the 46-footer. At night, the winds increase, hitting 25 knots in gusts. The seas are rough, but Gossip treats the crew kindly. Making 8 to 9 knots in the rough seas, she has 6 none-too-well sailors and 1 happy cook who has very little to do this morning. By noon, the end of the first day of the race, Gossip has put 161 miles behind her. Watches are set, 6 hours on and 6 off. As the wind swings somewhat abeam, the reacher is bent on. Foul weather gear is indicated with plenty of heavy clothes. The radio reports on the positions of other boats. Gossip is holding her own with the bigger Class A boats. Little food is consumed at breakfast the second morning. Charlie Ross asks for only what can be taken through a straw. The second day's run, recorded at noon, puts Gossip 173 miles closer to Diamond Head. Each morning, all yachts report their positions and receive weather information from Morning Star.
04 High pressure area moving south.
The coded data is translated into a weather map, its isobars revealing the pattern of the winds and pressure areas. High point of the day is the morning roll call. It's the only contact Gossip has with the other boats. One-way meals the morning of the third day mark an upturn in spirits. The wind drops to 10 knots and the temperature begins to rise. Gossip continues to move well, and as the wind swings somewhat abaft the beam, the reaching jib is doused, and the huge spinnaker is hoisted for the first time. Sheets are tripled on all leads. Gossip will increase her pace now. By noon of the third day out of Los Angeles, another 182 miles is added to the progress chart. The wind holds, but the seas are confused, the weather disagreeable. Making 9 to 10 knots, Gossip is in the middle of the fleet and saving time on the big boats ahead. On this fourth day out, the weather clears. All navigators Helsel and Jensen can get good sun sights. This is the test for the navigators. How accurate has their dead reckoning been so far? As Gossip drives through the purple swells, Helsel computes her position at 30 miles past dead reckoning and earns all-around congratulations. Speed and more speed is the first order of business. Toward that end, the boat is trimmed by bringing aft some of the cans of fresh water. Gossip displays her style and class as she cuts through the swells. Spirits are high aboard the trim little sloop as another 189 miles are logged off at noon of the fourth day. Through the fourth night, the winds increase and the seas build up in more confusion. Reaching through the night with spinnaker and staysail, Gossip makes 10 knots and more. Rivalry among the crew is high. Who can get the most out of Gossip? The rudder post develops a leak, which first mate Charlie Ross repacks as snug as new. It's warmer now. The crew stows the heavy underwear. Reports of the fleet indicate Gossip's more than saving time on the boats ahead. Small wonder, what with 216 miles, the best yet, logged off at noon of the fifth day out. The weather turns more pleasant, making the navigator's job much easier and giving the crew a chance to dry sails and lines and to take care of their housework, such as laundry. In a squall, a spinnaker halyard fatigues. The second halyard takes the whole load. Without waiting for a bosun's chair, Bill Kettenburg goes aloft to reeve in a new line. The boat yaws in a heavy rolling sea. Bill hangs on at the second spreader. Gossip's pitch and roll in a sea like this is bad enough, but 50 feet up without a bosun's chair is dynamite. Going over in this kind of a sea would probably mean curtains for the unlucky sailor. Before the boat could come about, he'd be out of sight. On deck, Kettenburg is pushed. He agrees to wait for a chair before going up again, should it be necessary. The sixth day's progress leg is another big one, 210 miles closer to Diamond Head and the finish line. Morning of the seventh day, bright and clear for the first time aboard Gossip since the Southern California coast. Morning roll call starts, the boats check in, the weather code begins, then suddenly...
This is Lepage. This is Lepage. We have lost a man overboard.
Before the skipper can ask for Lepage's position, Evening Star transmits it. Positions of other boats in the vicinity are carefully noted. Then Gossip's skipper goes on the air.
This is Gossip calling. Lepage, we have your position and are changing course immediately to render assistance.
Spinnaker down, Genoa up, Gossip swings to starboard, heading for Lepage, 120 miles away. The going is rough, beating into 25-foot waves and winds up to 25 miles an hour. Other boats also are changing course to help. Toward Lepage's position, Gossip turns north and west. Evening Star swings southwest. Dragoon behind shifts a few points to starboard. Java Head swings up. Skylark, far ahead, comes about. A Navy task force in the area heads southward. The radio buzzes in the cabin as all boats keep on the alert for news of the unfortunate sailor Ted Sirks. Gossip pounds north into mean seas. At 2400, within sight of the task force's searchlights, a radio call is received.
This is Lepage calling Gossip. 5 destroyers and a carrier are sweeping the area. For safety, yachts will please clear the area and proceed on the race.
The escort carrier Monroe verifies, and reluctantly, Gossip turns away from the disaster area and returns to her racing course. The spinnaker is hoisted again. The crew is grimly silent, while the aspect of tragedy fills the night. There's practically no hope for Sirk's recovery, but the skipper stands by for news on the boat's radio. With the dawn, nearly 24 hours have passed since the sailor disappeared off Lepage. There's little chance he's alive now. 6 hours in the water, even with a life ring, is the estimated maximum in that particular stretch of the Pacific. In these violent seas and tremendous swells, even that estimate is generous. Much of the enthusiasm for the race is gone as all hope fades. It's the first tragic accident ever to occur in all 17 Transpacific Yacht Races. Then, the next afternoon, as Gossip's skipper sits at the radio...
This is the USS Monroe calling Gossip. We have recovered Ted Sirks in active condition. He needs no medical attention. Please notify fleet. Over.
So, after 30 hours clutching a life ring, Ted Sirks cheats death. Gossip notifies Morning Star, who relays the word to the fleet. But no acknowledgement is made by Lepage. Her batteries are failing, her radio inoperative. Next morning, during roll call...
This is Lepage calling. We cannot read you, Morning Star. Is there any word of Sirks?
This is Gossip, Lepage. Sirks was recovered at 16:30 yesterday.
Thank God. I can't say any more.
Since the near tragedy, Gossip's daily runs are 179 miles by noon of the 7th day, 196 on the 8th, and another 193 miles by noon of the 9th day out of Los Angeles. With only 547 miles to go, strong winds keep Gossip moving at a speed that could win for her if they hold. The canyon often pins hard at 11. Speed could be as high as 13 or 14 knots. In this rolling sea, common to almost the entire area through which the northernmost boats are moving, the strain is terrific on sails and rigging. The spinnaker pole fitting shows signs of the constant strain, but an emergency call to Sailing Master Charlie Ross, who skillfully applies wire in the right places, and the danger is past. Another possible accident is averted that same day when Charlie Benton goes aloft in a bosun's chair to replace a worn spinnaker halyard. The Ted Sirks incident still fresh in their minds, the crew crosses their fingers while Charlie's aloft. But they've no need for concern. 50 feet above the deck, his work done, Benton calmly shoots motion pictures. Holding fast to the first spreader, Charlie is rocked through the air like a button on a pendulum. Being in condition to take such a beating is a prerequisite for Gossip's crewmen all along. Mark down a score for the cook, too, since even after workouts like this one, throughout the race, no crewman loses any weight. But Charlie agrees this is the hard way to work up an appetite. The 10th day out, the wind begins to haul, and it appears the Gossip will finally have to jibe. But not before the noon position reading reveals Gossip has made another 187 miles during the past 24 hours. That afternoon, after 1,800 miles on a starboard tack, Gossip jibes and begins the last leg of the long voyage. Since leaving Catalina on her starboard tack, Gossip has averaged more than 8 knots. To maintain the course with the wind swinging so much astern, the jibe is considered imperative at this point, But now the wind proves more contrary by slackening to the point of failing to fill the spinnaker. It's a bad break, for not far ahead, Cherokee, Skylark, and Evening Star are getting heavy local trades. Another 10 or 15 miles and Gossip would be enjoying the same favorable conditions. Cook Joe Kleghorn bakes a cake to take the crew's attention off the calm. The plan fails when Benton accidentally sits on the cake. Then, like a spiteful brat, the wind comes up with vigor. During a squall, the boom bang fatigues, and the crew jury-rigs a new one. When it's over, the wind holds well, and Gossip picks up time. The gear shows very little wear, but a spare spinnaker may be needed, and Jack Helsel adds extra reinforcements. A hot sun beats down on Gossip's deck, and the crew decides that saltwater baths would feel good. Whip-smart, tack-sharp Charlie Ross decides that a hose will do a better job than a bucket, so he rigs it up. A quick man to top himself, Ross concludes that standing up under the hose provides more of the atmosphere of a shower, so the bathers stand. His nimble brain working like lightning, Charlie tops everything by fitting a shower head on the hose. Result, all the conveniences of home, almost. Not to be outdone, Kleghorn bakes bread. Further evidence of the islands, now only a little more than a day away, is the appearance of the Pan American Clipper en route to Honolulu from the mainland. Gossip's crew talks by radio to friends aboard her, and plans are made for a celebration when the race is over and everybody's in port. The weather is tropical now, and Gossip's crew begins to feel the Hawaiian spirit. An Army plane flies over and circles to identify Gossip. It flashes word to the Transpac committee in Honolulu that the sloop is a day and a half away from the finish line. By noon the next day, Gossip completes her next to last full day's leg. Only 165 miles as a result of being nearly becalmed. But now the islands are not far off. The wind is quickening, and the skipper is proud to feel the boat respond like the thoroughbred she is. The pace is temperamental, suggesting that soon the canyon will be pinned. The next morning, excitement is high as Helsel predicts a landfall around 0600. As if he hadn't already proved his capability as a navigator, Helsel's prediction is borne out almost to the second, when, at 0600, the morning of the 12th day, the skipper sights Maui Island. A bit later, Gossip enters Molokai Channel, a mean piece of water in anybody's book. Noon completes the 12th day of the voyage, with the last full leg of 152 miles being recorded. Diamond Head is 54 miles away. The crew makes careful plans for going ashore, and Charlie Benton's plans specify not only a thorough soaping down, which he accomplishes as Gossip sails into sight of Diamond Head, but also with the approval of the skipper, Benton does it up right by using the last of the fresh water to rinse off. Molokai Channel, with all its trickiness, is child's play to Gossip's crew, for there's shore leave ahead. At a speed of more than 11 knots, Gossip hurries toward the finish line, as if she, too, were eager for the race to end. Behind 12 days at sea, more than 2,200 miles of Pacific Ocean, and just ahead the finish line for the 17th Transpacific Yacht Race. She's a solid ship, this Gossip, and hers is a proud skipper as he steers her down the stretch. It's been as close to a perfect voyage as any sailor could ask. The ship, dry and comfortable the whole way with no loss of gear, and a crew that was perfect in every way. As she slides under Diamond Head, every square inch of sail is doing a big job, her spinnaker pulling as if in pride of a job well done. The committee boat comes alongside to record the finish. At 16:30, the afternoon of July 16th, 1951, under the most favorable of conditions, Gossip approaches the buoy that marks the finish line. The crew watches that finish line go by as the red buoy lines up with the white structure of Diamond Head Light. The sheet is eased on the spinnaker, and like a glamorous lady who knows how to strut perfectly in plain sight of everybody and earns the right to relax, the big sail begins to come down. The job is done. No more tremendous hurry, no more straining at every seam. The lines are eased, the sail is cut loose, and is gathered into the cockpit. While a pert little catamaran sails nearby as if to supervise, Gossip's crew coils up her lines and begins to make her shipshape for docking. As the mainsail starts to come down, the hardy sloop rests for the first time in nearly 2 weeks. Another gay-sailed catamaran appears to pay its respects. But more welcome to the 7 sailors is the tug, which comes out to tow Gossip to dockside. Thousands of people line the dock to welcome the first sloop to finish, the second racer to finish in daylight. Gossip's crewmen recognize familiar faces in the crowd. This is the moment these 7 sailors have looked forward to for so many days. It's a rousing welcome by Ed and Vesta Vanek, Gus Rosenheim, Betty Locke, Dot and Pete Wilson, and many, many more. Gossip's 7 happy crewmen each give themselves plenty of elbow room for the long-awaited Hawaiian greeting. The coin divers join the welcome. The crowd pours aboard. Tetta and Tom Richard, the crew's Honolulu hosts, bring cooling drinks that hit the spot. The coin divers shout for bigger coins. It's a warm reception. It's the Honolulu salute. And still the crowd streams aboard the boat. So many people board Gossip, there's hardly any freeboard. And still more trophies. Leis, pineapples, coconut hats. Whoever had it so good? Designed for 4 people, Gossip is slightly over her limit. But after all, this is the Honolulu welcome in person. The crew edges closer to the skipper as if to add their voice to the welcome. The boys want something bigger, so the crew obliges by throwing in the captain. Fair enough? Finally, Gossip's deck is cleared, and the welcome is made complete with the traditional hula. Home was never like this. Then 10 unforgettable days in the islands. Waikiki lives up to its reputation. Ross and Kleghorn get checked out in the catamaran, manned by 2 fair wahinis, while others of the crew learn fundamentals of surfboarding at Waikiki. An Hawaiian climbs a palm tree while Gossip's crew relaxes in the shade with banyan punches. Observing the exhibition, Charlie Ross decides to try it on the theory it's a completely new way to get high. He's right, as usual. A few days later, Gossip is hoisted aboard a freighter. The race won by Sea Witch is a dramatic memory. Gossip, with her position of 7th overall safely tucked in the record books, is homeward bound. For the 7 men who manned her in the 17th running of the Transpacific Yacht Race, memories of that adventure will never dim.